The jet was still airborne when the tail ripped off. Not a crash warning, not turbulence. The back of the plane simply ceased to exist at 24,000 feet, and passengers were still buckled into their seats when the fuselage hit the Andes at full speed. That happened. That was real. And somehow, 16 of them walked out alive, after 72 days eating the dead to stay breathing. Plane crash survival isn't about luck. It's about what a human being is willing to do when every rule of civilization shatters in a single second. Today, we're counting down 10 of the most brutal, most documented, and most extraordinary plane crash survival stories ever recorded. Stay through number 4, because what that teenage girl did alone in the Amazon jungle with a broken collarbone, one sandal, and maggots burrowing into her arm should not be physically possible. Number 10. January 1972. JAT Flight 367 is cruising over Czechoslovakia when a bomb detonates in the forward cargo hold. The aircraft tears apart at 33,000 feet. Flight attendant Vesna Vulovic is locked inside a section of fuselage when it enters free fall. She falls over 10 kilometers with no parachute and no equipment. She hits a snow-covered slope at a steep angle, and the dense snowpack absorbs just enough force to keep her heart beating. She fractures her skull, breaks both legs, and her spine shatters in 3 places. She is in a coma for 27 days. She wakes up. She walks again. Vesna Vulovic holds the Guinness World Record for surviving the highest fall without a parachute. That record has never been broken. Number 9. July 2000. A Beechcraft 1900 makes an emergency landing in remote Botswana. The plane cartwheels and burns. 2 passengers drag themselves from the wreck with severe burns across their arms and torsos. The nearest road is 40 kilometers of open savanna. Hyenas move at night here. Temperatures drop below freezing before sunrise. Both men walk for 2 days, rationing 1 water bottle pulled from the burning hull. Dehydrated, infected, barely conscious, they flag down a truck on a dirt track that sees maybe 3 vehicles a day. Documented by Botswana Civil Aviation Authority records, both men survived. Number 8. March 1994. An Aeroflot flight near Novokuznetsk, Siberia, crashes after the pilot allowed his teenage son to handle the controls, who accidentally disengaged the autopilot. The aircraft enters an unrecoverable dive. 75 people die. 1 child, still strapped into her seat, is thrown clear during the fuselage disintegration. She survives with a broken leg, alone in Siberian forest at -20 Celsius. Search teams find her the following morning, conscious and calling out. She is the sole survivor, saved entirely by the physics of her exact seat position when the plane broke apart. Number 7. September 1989. U.S. Air Flight 5050 aborts takeoff at LaGuardia, careens off the runway, and plunges into Flushing Bay. The aircraft partially submerges. Passengers tear emergency exits open with freezing hands while water floods the cabin floor. 2 people die. 22 survive. Many because a handful of passengers physically braced the exit door against the current long enough for the others to get through and reach the surface. Number 6. This is the one the cold open was about. October 1972. Uruguayan Air Force Flight 571 clips a peak in the Andes in low visibility and breaks apart. 27 initially survive the impact. Then, an avalanche buries their camp while the survivors sleep inside the torn fuselage. They are above 3,600 meters. No food, no fire. Nights hit -30. They wait 17 days for a rescue that never comes. Then they hear on a salvage transistor radio that the search has been called off, declared dead. What those 16 survivors chose to do next A decision made collectively, deliberately, with full understanding of what it meant, carried them out 72 days after impact. The story is documented exhaustively, including in the survivor's own published memoirs. Number 5. June 1990. A British Airways 737 loses its windshield at 17,300 feet when a recently installed pane fails during climb. Captain Tim Lancaster is sucked halfway out of the cockpit. His legs stay inside. His body is exposed to 500 km/h airflow at minus 50 degrees. A flight attendant grabs his ankles and holds. The co-pilot lands the aircraft at Southampton. Captain Lancaster survives with a fractured arm, broken wrist, and frostbite. The man was partially outside a commercial jet for 22 minutes at speed. He returned to flying within 5 months. Number 4. December 1971. Lanza Flight 508 is struck by lightning over the Peruvian Amazon and disintegrates mid-air. 92 people aboard. 17-year-old Julianne Kopke falls 2 miles through the jungle canopy, still strapped into her row of seats, spinning in a slow spiral that bleeds off enough speed to keep her alive. She wakes up alone on the jungle floor. Broken collarbone, one eye swollen shut, a wound in her arm already crawling with fly larvae. She is wearing a sleeveless dress and 1 sandal. She walks 11 days downstream through the Amazon, following the only advice her biologist father had ever given her about surviving the jungle. She removes the larvae using fuel from an abandoned camp. She finds a boat. Lumbermen find her. Sole survivor of a mid-air disintegration over one of the remotest places on Earth. Julianne Kopke still works in that same Amazon today. Number 3. August 1985. Japan Airlines Flight 123 suffers a rear pressure bulkhead failure after takeoff from Tokyo. The tail fin separates. The aircraft becomes uncontrollable. Pilots fight it for 32 minutes before impact on a remote mountain ridge. 520 people die. The deadliest single aircraft accident in aviation history. 4 survive, cushioned by a dense tree canopy that distributed the final impact. All 4 are found conscious in the wreckage the next day. Number 2. January 2009. U.S. Airways Flight 1549 loses both engines over Manhattan after a bird strike. Captain Chesley Sullenberger has no runway. He lands on the Hudson River. All 155 people aboard survive. The event is so completely documented and reconstructed that it became the global benchmark for crisis decision-making under impossible time pressure. Everyone walked away from a river landing in January. Number 1. May 2010. Afriqia Airways Flight 771 approaches Tripoli in clear conditions and impacts the ground short of the runway. 103 people on board. 102 die instantly. A 9-year-old Dutch boy named Ruben van Assu is found alive in the wreckage, both legs broken, still sitting in his seat. He had been traveling with his parents and brother. He was the only person whose body, in that precise location, survived what the ground did to everyone else. He was discharged from hospital weeks later. He went home alone. These are not dramatizations. Every story here is backed by official aviation authority records, survivor testimony, and verified journalism. What they tell us collectively is one truth. Survival has no rules, no profile, no logic you can train for. It finds a teenage girl falling through a rainforest. It finds a flight attendant gripping a pilot's ankles at altitude. It finds 16 men on a frozen mountain making a decision no one should ever face. These plane crash survivors didn't just endure the worst. They walked back through it.
Almost gone.